4 questions and a nap. Hey, I sat down and wrote 2 articles a few days apart. Just when I was going to start recording, I'm like, this doesn't feel right because there's something that has shifted in me. Every time I want to say something, do something, or create an awareness of the relationship I'm having with a thing, situation, or person, I'm asking the same questions. Is this solar? Is this coming from my heart? Does this need to be spoken? Does this need to be published? It's not that I became a doubtful person, but right now I'm confronting a reality that my identity has shifted or is in the process of transformation. Therefore, I'm also taking time to realize how it is that I want to encounter the other. So instead of publishing what I wrote about economics, or God only knows what I was talking about, even about the Nodal Shift this weekend, that major thing, or anything astrological that's going on, or what's even going on with Bitcoin, do I want to write about that? And even if I have a lot to say, do I actually want to engage with it this way? That was the question, and the answer after a long nap, because I'm tired these days, was no. So here I am writing about not publishing what I've written. My first piece that I wrote was about economics, and it was very different. I was stating positions and asking the reader to agree or disagree with them, or build an argument to be defended or to be let go. This time around, it's not an argument about anything, it's just barely an observation of a shift. And so by observing is what's becoming the content. It is enacting the very question that it poses rather than answering it from the outside. The 4 questions that I posted, I feel, really come from a place where I'm being loyal to myself. These are not rhetorical questions. Each one is doing something different. And together, they're tracing a real sequence of discernment rather than the 4 ways of saying the same thing in a way triadic anaphora often uses. As it ends, it holds without resolving. I do not arrive at a lesson about the voice or timing. I arrive at the fact that I took a nap because of fatigue, and then the piece is naming its own existence as a result of what it's not. I must say that I have arrived at that declaration too fast about identity shifting because it is something that is coming from something that I've been experiencing, but I have not been able to convey. Again, as I listen to it and I reread it, I say, hey, Monica, hold on. I don't want to sound absolute. I don't want to have the last word. This is part of this new relationship to how I relate to my needs, how I listen to them, and how I become aware if what I'm doing is a performance or is something that is genuine and coming from my heart. My body speaks to me these days, and it is basically supporting this direction. The second article was about the nodal change, and I will or I will not eventually make a comment about it. For now, I prefer to leave those changes, to embody them, to enact another perspective, to be able to turn my neck in a way that I haven't been able to since I came from Vancouver, as I've been releasing and receiving. Releasing and receiving. Anyway, that's my poem of the day, and I will leave with words of gratitude. Ta-da! Afterword. Quote, every art and every inquiry, and likewise every action and choice, seems to aim at some good, and hence it has been beautifully said that the good is that at which all things aim. Aristotle, Nicomachean Ethics, Book 1, Chapter 1, page 1. When the outside turns very noisy, turn to the ancestral wisdom. The Greeks endowed the West with a marvelous mythology and culture. They set up the principles of how man acts. Below, 2 excerpts from my new book, The Art of Synthesis and the Architecture of My Value, L3, The Radiography of Culture, 2026. I'm designing it now and I will drop it after the eclipse season. Quote, real integration is not universal, it is a personal affair. End of quote. Now, this is an excerpt from one of the chapters, and it's not in its totality. As characters emerge from novels, paintings, or music and theater, the spectator, the reader, or listener will fall in love with this representation. And in this sequence, there is no accident because the character exists as a construction in the imagination. It is vivid, it is internally consistent. Then it is charged exactly with the quality of feeling that the person that is absorbing this is prepared to receive. The character does not have a financial plan. The character does not need to manage their affairs or account for their choices. The character exists inside the dream of them, and inside that dream they are whole, and the reader becomes, for a duration of the reading, the one who loves that way, who sees that way, who inhabits that frequency. The fantasy is also self-construction. The reader or the viewer is not only loving the character, the reader is becoming the person who loves that character, and that becoming is pleasurable and real, and it leaves a residue. How much of that residue begins selecting for us? Later in life, the same mechanism continues. Someone transmits a charge that rhymes with the inner character, and the selection is tonal, not rational, because what is being recognized is the interior construction. This actual person arrived, and the beloved was already built in the imagination, so there was no surprise. The encounter feels like a recognition. It is recognition, and what is being recognized or acknowledged is the projection. At the scale of culture, the same mechanism runs. The collective dream takes many forms, and many of them share the same architecture. Someone else will provide the ground. Someone else will sign for the risk. Someone else will remember where the money comes from while we tend to the vision. Dreaming belongs to the imagination, and the movement inside these dreams is real. The imagination is essential. That movement touches the same wound the romantic movement sensed 2 centuries ago. The loss of ritual, beauty, community, craft, belonging, land, mystery, and the slow knowledge of things built by hand over time. The fantasy begins at the precise moment when the ache is called to organize reality, when feeling is expected to substitute for structure, when the dream refuses nourishment and an account of its material needs. Who bears the material weight of that dream? The weight of that refusal is redistributed, and the question that follows is not romantic at all. It is material and it is exact. Who carries the weight of those who will not carry their own? The economic confusion follows the same architecture. This is a confusion of people who do not know where money comes from because they have been living inside a dream of it. Money and value come from subjective human action, from taking risks, from production, from trial and error, from exchange, from saved time, from stored value, from the ability to create something another person values enough to give something of their own in return. The wound is real. The longing is real. The principle is also real. And this is the meaning of this tragedy that we're both living and witnessing at the same time. All right, I'm done. Have a great week.